Привет! Welcome to Team 2's presentation. We have been tasked with identifying a global corporation that faces a current world challenge. The corporation that we have selected is McDonald's. Para-pa-para! I'm loving it. And the global challenge that we have been assigned is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now, to be clear, we will not be discussing any political decisions regarding the war. We merely want to examine the decisions that McDonald's has made in regards to operating their stores within those two countries. First, we will do a little history about the company's initial market penetration in the Soviet Union. Next, we will discuss a qualitative and quantitative analysis. We will then get into financials as well as risk, challenges, opportunities, and benefits. Without further ado, I present the rest of my team.
Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine and under pressure from investors, many Western companies has begun to unwind their business interests. They are also closing stores and pausing sales in Russia. After taking temporary measures, some have revised their plans and decided to exit the country altogether. As a symbol of an end to decades of economic, political, diplomatic cooperation between the nation and the West, a month after the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Starbucks and McDonald's followed other major brands in announcing a temporary closure of their businesses in Russia. In this video, we will talk about the pullout of McDonald's from Russia as one of the consequences of their invasion of Ukraine. McDonald's is the world's leading global food service retailer with over 39,000 locations in 100 countries. Approximately 95% of McDonald's restaurants worldwide are owned and operated by independent local business owners. The first Russian McDonald's opened in Moscow on January 31, 1990, after it got permission from the Communist Party to start the business in country before their eventually collapse. It was a big moment for the country, and that first restaurant drew large crowds. McDonald's advertised the restaurant's opening using the slogan, "If you can't go to America, come to McDonald's in Moscow." It was the largest McDonald's in the world, and the fast food chain sold 34,000 burgers of its first day. People stood in line for over 6 hours willing to get a taste of this unusual food.
I don't like it at all, he says. It's not Russian.
It's very beautiful, but I expected more, I think.
This woman doesn't know what she just ate, but she says it was unusual and delicious.
At that time, it was the first fast food place in the whole country. It soon became one of Moscow's attractions. People went there for dates and also included in sightseeing tours as a must-see place. However, for the Soviet Union, McDonald's meant more than just hamburgers. 2 months after the fall of Berlin Wall, the introduction of its first American restaurant symbolized capitalism and the gateway to the West. After more than 80 years of socialism, people in Russia were awakening to new Western ways of eating, passing time and spending money. McDonald's hired 630 workers out of 27,000 applicants, and all employees were trained to smile, which was opposite from Soviet culture at the time.
Smile to anybody and they say, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? I wonder what has happened. Why do you smile?" They think that I'm laughing at them.
The fast food giant quickly expanded into the new Russian country, eventually adding about 847 locations, the second most location only to America itself.
As of today, every McDonald's restaurant in Russia has been bought by a local licensee, Alexander Govor, and has been rebranded under the name Vkusno and Tochka. The fee for this deal, however, is undisclosed. Having learned the concept of discounted free cash flow and WACC in our finance class, we thought it would be interesting to calculate roughly how much McDonald's Russia is worth. But the financial data of McDonald's Russia and Ukraine alone is almost non-existent. We only managed to find this in their corporate website about McDonald's Russia and Ukraine's impact on McDonald's worldwide. So our methodology for this analysis is to discount future cash flow estimates of McDonald's worldwide using its WACC, and then simply multiply it by McDonald's Russia and Ukraine's percentage of earnings compared to McDonald's worldwide earnings. For this, we only used official historical data, such as income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement, that are derived from McDonald's Corporation official website. As for future estimates, we gather our data from credible and known sources such as Yahoo Finance, Wall Street Journal, and Bloomberg. So let's begin. To calculate its WACC, we need to find its cost of capital, cost of debt, and debt to equity ratio. To find its cost of capital, we use CAPM model. We multiply the beta with the market risk premium and then add it to the risk-free market rate. Now that we have its cost of capital, cost of debt, and debt to equity ratio, we simply put them in the formula and the WACC is found. Next, we need to find its free cash flow estimates. We choose to calculate its free cash flow until 2026 and then assume from then on growth will mature at a 4% yearly. To find its free cash flow, we add interest expense and depreciation expense to the net profit and then subtract capital expenditures and change in net working capital. To find its terminal value, we simply use growing perpetuity formula that we learned from Cytosolar case. We then discount these values using the WACC and then add everything together to find its present value. Finally, we multiply this value by 1% to 3% to reflect McDonald's Russia and Ukraine's value. Once again, we remind you to take this result with a huge grain of salt, since this is assuming that 1. McDonald's income and expenses is 1% to 3% of that McDonald's worldwide, and 2. McDonald's is also sold its brand, which is not the case here because it was rebranded into something completely different. Because of this, we thought that this is the maximum value that one should pay for McDonald's Ukraine-Russia operation, and then the reality is that the deal should be done in an amount that is a lot less than this, as explained by this article.
There is a lot of speculations as to what will happen in the world in 2022. But one thing is for sure, the world will be facing some serious changes. And one of the biggest has been to the world between Russia and Ukraine. This war has been a huge impact on the global economy. Companies like McDonald's could be affected by serving in both countries. So what will that mean for McDonald's? Here are 3 ways the Russian war has impacted the company. In 2021, the total revenue from McDonald's was $23.2 billion. Only 9% of which came from both Russia and Ukraine. McDonald's net income in 2021 was $7.5 billion, only 3% of which came from these 2 countries. In March 2022, the stock price dropped by $226.87 due to the immediate shutdown for all the McDonald's chains in Russia. This was to support the Ukraine cause. It also resulted in the biggest stock market drop of the year so far.
On March 8, 2022, McDonald's announced its plans to temporarily close all 847 locations and pause operations in Russia in response to the country's invasion of Ukraine, which accounts for about 9% of McDonald's global revenue. McDonald's shares have dropped steadily since the attack, which began on February 24th. There's no telling when or if McDonald's will resume its operations in Russia, but the company is taking quite a hit to its bottom line. 84% of its 847 locations in Russia are operated by McDonald's, and franchisees operate the rest. The McDonald's CFO has said it's losing about $50 million per month during the shutdown, or roughly around 0.05 to 0.06 per share. McDonald's has also closed its 108 locations in Ukraine for safety reasons. Russia and Ukraine account for roughly 2% of McDonald's system-wide sales and 3% of its operating income. In the meantime, the fast food chain has committed to still paying its employees in both countries. McDonald's said in a statement, "At this juncture, it's impossible to predict when we might be able to reopen our restaurants in Russia. Some analysts expect those Russian restaurants won't reopen until the end of the year. Some predict this move could be permanent." Continuing business in Russia for McDonald's was not tenable nor consistent with its core values. citing the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. The decision taken by McDonald's to pull out from Russia has revealed the financial cost to their businesses. According to CNN, the temporary closure in Russia and Ukraine cost McDonald's $127 million, including $100 million for disposal of food and inventory, and $27 million to cover staff costs and payments for leases and supplies. The closures affected McDonald's net income, which fell 28% in the year's first 3 months. McDonald's has previously said it would take a hit of more than $1 billion due to the exit. McDonald's agreed to sell their Russian assets as they scramble to comply with sanctions over the Ukraine conflict and deal with threats from the Kremlin that foreign-owned assets may be seized. The company later found a buyer in Russian businessman Alexander Govor, who already operated 25 McDonald's outlets in Siberia. 847 McDonald's Russian restaurants will reopen under a new name and keep the company's 62,000 Russian employees on equivalent terms for at least 2 years. Also, pay the salaries of the burger chain's corporate staff until the sale closes. This is an opportunity for Russian business people to continue creating McDonald's successfully in the past by owning locally. Despite the exit of McDonald's from Russia and the loss financially in terms of brand, they will still maintain the brand's good name in the eyes of the world without being seen as siding with the warring factions.
This concludes Team 2's presentation of McDonald's current business strategy for the Russian and Ukrainian markets during this current conflict. We hope you have enjoyed our team's analysis. Remember, the McRib is currently in its farewell tour. Grab one as soon as you can before they're all gone. Thank you.